If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life thinking it's stupid. Did you guys know that Einstein didn't graduate from high school? And he didn't get into his college that he wanted to go to? It's really interesting, isn't it? And then Winston Churchill says, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is your greatest accomplishment. And I say the road to your destiny is paved with your authenticity. So now we're going to get into the sales. It's a really tough acronym. It's SALES. Can everybody remember that? I didn't say I was super creative. So first and foremost in this process, that if you ask me, it's probably missed more than everything else, is truly understanding your client well enough to speak their language. You know, the moral of the story is, by the end, he does it his way, right? And he even starts talking about like getting daughters knocked up, and the guy's like, I'll buy from you, you know, because he's just in his energy and he's being random and he's funny. And, you know, you really think it's all technical and all of those pieces, but you really want to speak their language. Often we're so focused on getting it right, we forget about really just connecting with the person and being in our power and our energy, right? And so, you know, when you're thinking about how do I speak their language, Jana, sounds great. Like, what are they Googling? Like, what is the conversation going on in their mind? You know, how can you connect more with that? Because we often, because you're all experts at what you do, you've got like PhD level techno stuff, babble going on, and they're like at a 4th grade level. And so when you start talking all of this stuff, there's another clip where David Spade nerds out with the guy, and he's like, well, don't you know that our tire things have the chromium, and the guy's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, talk to me like a human. And so, you know, really focusing on that, whether it's your copywriting, you know, your content creation, or just having conversations with people like this, because people like other humans. We don't like humans pretending to be whatever they're trying to be. Right? And so lean into that and lean into it in a relatable way, barefoot on stage, whatever. But it's really about being real and it's about being authentic. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But another piece, and this one's always a big hit. So if you are struggling with this and this is resonating, listen up. Focus on the payoff, not the process. Okay? So I like to say, focus on the cake and not the recipe. So if you're going through something with a client, you're like, well, first we're going to do this, and then it's going to look like that, and then you're going to have a food diary, and you have to record everything, you have to work out 45 times a day, and you have to check in with me, and I do an accountability call every week, we have a Facebook, and they're like, ugh. But we think, because we're nerding out over it, we love it, like, let's go. But they're over there like, this is a lot of change. Maybe I'll do it next year, right? So what do we have to focus on? What they want. They don't want a food diary, y'all. Most of them don't want to meditate either. They don't want to do inner child work. And they don't understand trauma, okay? And so we have to speak to what they're Googling. And I promise, before I had my spiritual awakening and I didn't know what healing was, and I definitely was not Googling how to heal my mother wound. Right? I just wanted to sleep better and understand why I checked all the boxes in my life and I wasn't happy, okay? So let's just do a quick little exercise called recipe or cake. So somebody yell out like what you do and tell me like part of the recipe and part of the cake. And let's let everybody decide what is what, right? And so we can bring some of it, especially as a spiritual entrepreneur, like, you know, there's a line there. But the most people that you're gonna get the biggest shift with do not know what that is. Does that make sense? And the ones that do are already doing it, and chances are they don't think they need it. Ask me how I know. I want to just say one thing about the joy and the love and those pieces too. When it's nebulous things like that, we have to bring it on back down into the 3D. Because what does it mean to love yourself? What does it mean for you to love yourself? What does it look like? What does it look like for you? And so people can't, I always like take a bite out of it. And I can't take a bite out of what loving myself. It doesn't give me the visual. And I'm not Googling it. What you can do there is this beautiful phrase called so that you can. So it's like, and we're going to teach you how to love yourself so that you can be with your kids and be fully present with them. And then when it's time for you to go do your work, you have a firm boundary and you don't feel guilty about it. You see what I mean? They can see that and it's like, God, Jana, stop reading my mind. That is exactly how I feel. Like, oh, I'm a terrible mother. I have to go work. So that's so that you can piece. You can connect almost any nebulous, find more joy so that you can.